So this is going to be part 3 of training my tree monitors. Going forward in these videos, I'm going to be including the sound of the background clips, which you'll see in this. That is because it's going to be important for you to hear like the sounds that I'm making, the cues that I'm using, or how I'm being quiet, or things like that when we get into like roaming, because it's going to make things make a lot more sense. And it's important to see how I'm behaving in these interactions just as much as it is to watch what he's doing. So this is going to take place on the 1st of March, which is like 2 days after the last video. Last video was the 26th of February, right? Part 2. So part 3 takes place on the 1st of March. There's a 2-day gap. I do not have videos from this time. Whenever this happens, that means that I just didn't have anything significant to film. It means I was doing the same things. Again, everything builds off of everything else, but you always want to be doing the old exercises, uh, keeping them current, doing those as well. So the fact that I don't have any videos from those 2 days means that that's what I was doing with Ajax and with Kale both. Um, Here on the 1st of March, Ajax was up, Kale was still asleep, so I actually gave Ajax my hand. He climbed on it, and I let him do a dry run of a free roam. Like again, this was always my goal to get them safely out into my living room, and I was just curious. Everything was going great with them. I wanted to see how they would behave. So this isn't a roaming video. I just did this once for him, and then when Kale wakes up, I let him out for a little bit. But I'm still going to be doing stuff with them at their enclosure, getting them ready to transition out here. But I just wanted to see. So here you're going to get a little sneak peek. And you can see it's not as bad as you would think it is. Now here he's gonna get scared. Specifically because my dog moved his head. Like he was walking into this area, he saw my dog, and it spooked him a little bit. So uh, only when my dog moved his head, because he probably thought, oh, it's coming after me. But again, my dog's not interested in him, and since my dog doesn't get up or start moving, he's gonna look back and realize, oh, it was nothing. So just like me, this dog Ajax has spent months being able to see this dog in this room from his enclosure, and understands that this dog doesn't have anything to do with him and it's not a threat. When I'm at work all day long, Ajax sees this dog napping around, getting up, walking over to get water, coming back, laying down, going to sleep. He knows this dog isn't a threat. So he's going to immediately realize. See, he even comes back to look, and he sees the dog still laying there, so he's fine, and he's gonna move on with whatever he's doing. So I just wanted to show that in there, that he's not darting from me, he's not running up under something and hiding. I was really worried that this was gonna be hard to accomplish, getting them out into the living room, but this dry run I did this day solidified my belief in, okay, this is something that can be done. He's pretty chill. Look at how his tail is completely straight. And you'll see Kale later on as well as this video goes on. I'm pretty sure I let Kale out this day too. But you can see he's just checking things out. Again, this is the illusion of freedom that you are giving them by doing this. And the whole reason my monitors are the way they are today is because of primarily this step, and then even more so significant was the initial step of letting them view me for long periods of time from their enclosure before ever even trying to interact with them. You can see he's just learning the new environment, what he can climb, what he can't climb, how everything works. It's very important for them to make their own mind up about what is safe and what everything is. can see here the dog doesn't care about him. He doesn't care about the dog. He's trying to figure out how to get over to the Ackie enclosure. So this is going to be part 3. And part 3 is intro to offering and roaming prep. So in the previous video, I showed that they can ask me for interaction and I will come and give it to them. In this video, what we're going to be doing is introducing them to the idea that I can offer them interaction and trying to get them to take that. So they're already comfortable doing it themselves. This should be even easier, but you want to get them used to you offering it because just like I said before, all the earlier stuff is going to build on the later stuff. And by offering them your hand in the enclosure and getting them to come onto it, that's going to translate later into he's just walking around and you can go up and offer your hand to him and then he'll climb right on. Again, repetition, repetition, repetition. You get him to climb onto your arm of his own free will 100 times at the enclosure, that's going to make it so much easier for him to do it when he's out walking around in your living room. That's why it's also called roaming prep, because we're going to start bringing him out of the enclosure slowly, sometimes up onto it, sometimes just onto you. But the whole point of this is to get them used to leaving the enclosure on you and then going back to the enclosure from you. So this is going to introduce the offering of the hand and then also the giving rides to them. So we're going to start off with the first clip. There we are. You've seen before, this animal already wants to interact with me because the last few days we've been doing it. And here it is, I just offer my hand. And he immediately climbs on. Here I mess up. I don't know if you saw that. But if you watch over here in the mirror, I bring my other arm up. You see there in the glass, you can see my arm comes up. I was trying to, put my other arm up next to my other, put my hand up to my other hand so that he could, crawl between them. But he saw it coming up out of the corner of his eye and it spooked him, so he ran away. But again, I try to remain still to show that I didn't do anything, bro. It's just misunderstanding. So then a few minutes later, I'm back at the enclosure. So here I'm going to grab this wall back here because I'm planning on leaving my arm here for a while and I don't want it to get tired. So you hear that? I'm doing the chirping noise. I'm starting to introduce cues to my offers. And this is important. This works. He's going to start to associate that noise with come to me. And also, everything's okay because he only hears that noise when he's on me or when I'm asking him to come to me or when I'm just offering my arm to him. Over time, this is going to be a cue to him. And if you see in my latter video, I can make this noise to him, and 9 times out of 10, whatever he's doing, he will turn and he will jump to me because of this noise. And I think you see it later in one of these clips. But so I'm starting to just introduce it. And again, I'm always trying to have look at his eyes, just in case he tries to make eye contact with me, because I still believe that that's important. You're going to see as you build a relationship with these animals, they look at your eyes and your face less and less as you become less and less of a worry for them. Like once you're you're solid with them, they rarely look at your eyes. Like now, Ajax will look at my eyes. When he jumps to me, he'll make a quick check to make sure everything's okay. I think he's gonna freak out here in a second. Okay, so you see that what that was he keeps coming down to investigate my face, and he's walking up and he's literally licking my face. Then what he tried to do is he tried to climb my face. So he was climbing up my cheek, and I was worried he was going to put his claws in my eye. So like I scrunched my face to close my eye, and when I scrunched my cheek, he freaked out and jumped off. But again, watch, I remain stoic, and watch what's going to happen. He looks back. Oh, it's okay. I give him the cue again, and immediately he's going to come right back and investigate my arm and probably climb back on. And in the last video, I talked about the idea of the bag, where you're wanting to fill that bag with positive encounters, close out the session, and move on once you have a good positive encounter, because you want to build up a bunch of those memories for him over time. Now, once something bad happens, like how he just jumped away from me, if I would have pulled my arm away and ended the session right there, he could potentially remember that as a bad encounter. So I remain on the wall. He comes back, gets onto me. Since this is turning back into a good encounter, I'm probably going to want to end this, because, again, you don't want to drag these things out long enough to make a mistake. As soon as you have the good encounter in the bag, close it out. Just do more in the next session. See, there's me closing it out. Here's a new session. You hear the chirping noises. Checking out my arm. More chirping noises. Again, over time, this is going to be telling him it's okay. Comes right up to my face. Hops off. Again, I make no reaction, which means he's probably going to come right back. There, you see that? It's very important that when they freak out, you do not react. Again, I'm being greedy here, but it paid off. Still got a really good session going. Look at how slowly I remove my hand. There we go, we're at a new session. See, he's getting more interested, just like the other video. Once you're doing this with them during the day, the longer it goes on, they get more and more into it. Again, walks right up to me. I give him the okay noise. Very interested in my face. You hear my dogs drinking water over there? Also, I want to point out, you see, he literally doesn't react. That noise is pretty loud, and he doesn't care about that noise because he's heard it a million times before. These dogs are in here with them while I'm at work. They drink water, so they're used to all the sounds that these dogs make, and it doesn't stress them out, and they don't even react to it. Again, look at how still I'm being throughout these encounters. Ideally, you want them to be making most of the moves during these sessions. Again, over time, that chirping noise is going to be a soothing noise to him and even a come to me cue. It's getting real comfortable just being on me. Okay, so here we are, new session. Okay, this is just me being a dumbass. I don't use food in any of this stuff, but I did do this where I put a piece of ground turkey on the end of a toothpick in my mouth just because I wanted to see if he took the food from me. Interestingly, it worked, and he didn't even move away from me when I gave him the food. Like normally you give them something, they go away with it and they take it up to a perch where they can eat it safely. Again, my dog's knocking something over, it doesn't even scare him. But normally they'd go off with their food somewhere to eat it safely, but he stayed right there, right by my face, and ate this piece of food. Now look at how nervous I am trying to move away from him. So yeah, but don't do shit like that. That was stupid. Okay, so here's Kale. So again, you're going to see very little of Kale, especially when he's roaming, because again, like I said before, when I'm doing something that's important, I'm not worried about capturing it with the camera. And Kale isn't captive bred like Ajax is. I got Kale from some store owner that lied to me. He's actually came from a farm, so he lived on a farm for a few months before I got him. Still around the same age as Ajax, but he's he's got that wild streak in him a little more than Ajax does. So Ajax went to bed. This is still the same day. Ajax went to bed. Kale came out, or Ajax could still be up, but Ajax woke up, and I decided to see what he would be like. So I let him out, and he has been roaming around, but I get less of it on camera because I'm more focused and watching when Kale's out. And this goes forward even as I progress these animals along. I'm always more focused when I'm dealing with Kale just because I really don't want to mess things up. And so it's hard to like move into his area slowly and present him with an arm when I have a camera in my other hand and I'm trying to like capture it. So with Kale, you're going to get a lot less, but just understand I'm doing the same things with Kale that I'm doing with Ajax. It's just progressing slower, and I'm working a lot harder at making sure it's a good encounter when I'm dealing with Kale. So here you can see Kale. Look at his tail, completely straight. Kale is 100% confident here. I was crazy surprised when I let him out. But he's going to do something here that I want to show you. It's going to become important. Watch this. You see this little spiral he put at the end of his tail, this little loop, when he looked inside here? When he was walking along here, fully confident, tail was 100% straight. He had no care in the world. And then he looked inside here and he put this little loop here. Now what this is, so anyone that has tree monitors, you learn pretty quickly what that spiral tail means. They only do that full spiral tail when they're like completely frightened or they're trying to make a display, like a defensive display or like a territorial display. Spiral tail is not good. You want this tail to be as straight as possible when you're interacting with this animal. That shows that he's completely feels safe and he's secure in what's going on. Just want to also interject here really quick. Obviously, this tail is prehensile and it's a tool. So just because you see them curbing it up doesn't mean it's out of fear or stress or anything like that. Sometimes they're just getting ready to use it as a tool, and you'll learn the difference between what you're seeing here, this butt puckering, and them about to use the tail as like a tool to grab on or hang on to something. So I just wanted to make that clear before we moved on. This isn't a problem either. When you see this small little loop, what I call that is I call it butt puckering. So Kale was walking past this enclosure. He looked inside this, what it would appear to be like a cave to him, and he got a little uneasy. So it's basically they're bracing in case something's gonna pop off. So he'll get a little loop. It's fine when you see this. It's not an indication of anything. He's still pretty secure. He's just steadying himself in case something's gonna happen. So he's a little unsure. He's checking it out. Normally you'll see them do this and then it'll go back straight once they get comfortable again. But you see, he's fine. And then this is the clip from that video where he hopped off the dog's back. So I want to explain to you what happened in this situation because a lot of people gave me shit for this clip, and I included it in the video specifically for this reason, to show that the dog and the lizard do not give a shit about each other. But what had happened here was, again, this is Kale's first time out exploring. I'm super surprised that he's doing so well with it. He was walking under the couch, which is in between their enclosure and this enclosure. So I couldn't like reach up under the couch and grab him when I saw him heading over to where my dog was laying down. I didn't want to spook him doing that. I could have just said, "Hey Albie," that's my dog's name. I could have just said, "Hey Albie, get," and he would have got up and walked away. But with Kale walking towards him underneath the couch, I thought if Albie got up in this moment and walked away, Kale, that would have spooked Kale as well. I was trying my hardest to preserve this great encounter, this great first experience Kale was having outside of his enclosure. I did not want to mess it up in any way. So I opted for just clenching my butt cheeks together and hoping that he just walked right along the wall and went behind the enclosure. That's what I figured he was going to do. But what happened was he got to the end of the couch, he turned and started heading out towards the corner and where my dog was sitting. And he just walked right up to my dog, hopped on his back, and hopped off. Totally fine. My dog barely reacts to it. Kale doesn't care. In my mind, this was a perfect encounter, and I'm so glad I didn't intervene because Kale got through this entire first roam without any issues. He never spooked and he never got scared. So he's just checking the things he can climb. And then there the video just cuts off because, again, like I said, whenever I was dealing with Kale, I'm more focused on making sure the encounter is perfect. I'm not worried about filming it. So what I did here was I got down really low while I was away from him. I moved in slowly to where he was by crawling on the ground, and then I slowly extended my hand out to him, and he climbed onto my hand, and I was able to put him back in the enclosure. And the reason I was able to do this so easily with them from the beginning was, again, because of all the trust I already had with them, and also because when they're on the tile, it's cooling them down over time. They don't like it. They want to get back up on something. So it's usually easy for me to get them to come back up to me from the tile. Okay, so we're moving on here. Now this is going to be the next day. This is March 2nd. And so again, I'm still with the giving him offers, trying to get him to accept them. But here what I'm going to do, and I'm sure you see videos of people with tree monitors or other monitors doing this, and the goal here is to put your hand, both sides of the enclosure are open, you put your hand in one side, they climb onto you, and then you use your other hand You put your other hand back into the enclosure, so now the animal can walk up one arm, walk across your back, and then walk down the other arm back into the enclosure. Now, this is a perfect exercise to perform a lot of, to get a lot of reps in on, because it includes the building blocks from all the shit later that you're going to need to do. So here is me giving him an offer. He accepts it. It's him moving around on me while I'm moving around, and then it's him going back to the enclosure from my arm. So this is, you know, A to Z of the entire process of bringing him out, letting him roam around, and then putting him back into the enclosure, all in one small little exercise that you can just get a ton of different reps on. So you want to do this over and over and over. Because again, here, this small exercise includes me offering my hand, him accepting my hand, him moving around on me, and then him going back into the enclosure from my hand. So it's like a bite-sized version of what an entire, 10-minute roam would be, without him getting to actually roam around for 10 minutes, obviously. But it's the repetition, the behavioral repetition that you're trying to drill into him. So this is going to be the same thing. Again, we're on March 2nd. And this is Ajax again. Anytime you see the turquoise one, it's Ajax. Kale is green. You see how he keeps stopping to check my face? Make sure it's okay, make sure it's okay. And look at this, he decides to come back out. Goes back. So the animal is in control of this entire encounter. Again, this is that illusion of freedom. The animal, you're just offering. Oh, now watch this. Did you see that? So I have my hand there, and he's not giving me any type of reaction. I give him the cue, and he immediately gets interested in my hand. Over time, using sound cues with them is going to push these interactions to a higher level. It's going to make it easier and easier for you to get your acceptance rate up. Because once you get them out and roaming around in your living room, like that's the next thing that you need to work on is your acceptance rate. You want to do everything possible to get that as high as possible so that, when you need them to come back to you, you can get them to. And again, going forward, you're never going to see me doing this again on a video, but I am still doing this from time to time with them. It's just I'm not going to record it anymore because I've already recorded this happening. It's nothing new. Like, I'm not going to make videos of the same thing over and over and over. So you always want to be reinforcing these smaller blocks over and over and over, and they're all going to build in to everything later. So he's already wanting to get down to the floor. And I'm pretty sure the very next video we're gonna have some more roaming, but I try to make it more natural for them, and you'll see how I do it in the next video. But that's gonna be it for this one.